Hemingway says that you're the sum total of your thoughts. And if that's true, I'm asking you, what is it that you're thinking of? And what is it that you've become? You see, I'm Charles Cary, also known as Sir Charles because of some of the various things that I've done. I'm a member of the National Speakers Association. I'm a Toastmaster. I'm a certified FLETC instructor, which is Federal Law Enforcement Training Instructor. I'm a customer service instructor, which means I teach customer service, but I also teach how to teach customer service. In addition to that, some of you may or may not know me from different places, but some of you may have seen me in the poetry circuits way back when. Some of you also may be familiar with me from the music industry. In fact, to tell you a quick story, my current CD, which was put out a couple of years ago, is in the top 15 of independent jazz CDs. Now, I'm not even promoting it, but that's where the rankings are for right now. Outside of that, I've been in films with Nicolas Cage, Ed Harris, John Voight, a lot of folks like that. And I'm sharing this with you not to impress you, but to impress upon you that that was the training ground to get me to where I am today. You see, I didn't know it at the time, but those experiences, they prepared me to speak with people like yourself and with people around the country. Now, if you're like I am, I was told a long time ago, go to school, get good grades, and get a good what? Job, right? Why didn't they tell us to go to school and learn how to run our own business? You see, you have to learn how to be true to yourself. And I got a few different stories and a few points I want to make with you. Excuse me. And one of the first things I wanted to share with you, when I was a kid, I remember my dad saying, son, if you can't look at yourself in the mirror, that's a problem. I remember it so clearly. And it was one Saturday morning, I got up, I went to the bathroom, I went to wash my hands, and I looked up and I stalled, just like that. And when I stalled, I looked away, and the words and the sound of his voice came back to my mind. Son, if you can't look at yourself in the mirror, that's a problem. That's a problem. And as I heard his voice in my mind, and those words, they stayed with me, it made me realize where I was. See, this is 25 years later, and I was a drug addict, strung out. Crack cocaine was my best friend. And now I understood what those words, what they really meant. You see, and I had a 2- and 3-year-old son and daughter living with me. And they would look to me for inspiration, for someone to lead them, for someone to guide them. And what I'd do, I'd sneak out the house, I'd sneak back in the house, and you see, the bathroom, that was my haven, that was my getaway. I'd put one foot next to the door so no one could run in the bathroom on me. I'd place the other foot firmly behind me so I could secure my position. I'd pull up my stem, I'd take my lighter, and I'd get high all day. Sun up to sundown, day in, day out, week in, week out. There was never a rest, never a break, just me getting high all the time. And what would happen? My kids, they would knock on the door. Knock, knock, knock. Daddy, you gonna take me to the park? Knock, knock, knock. Daddy, you gonna come play with me? Knock, knock, knock. Daddy, are you in there? But I was too busy in my own self-indulgent life, my own self-indulgent world, just ruining myself. And finally I'd hear, knock, knock, knock. Daddy, I gotta go to the bathroom. I take my stem, put it on top of the mirror. I freak out for a few seconds just like that. I slam open the curtains, open up the bathroom window, start fanning the smoke because I didn't want them to smell the smoke. But it was more apparent to me that I was teaching them to be irresponsible, teaching them how to ruin their lives before their lives had even began. And you know, the thing about that, it was a rude awakening, a really, really rude awakening. So what happened from there, I was able to face myself and start over. left New York City, came to Washington, D.C., began to sing and do poetry, all the things that I shared with you earlier. And as I did those things, life seemed to be great. And what happened? I get a phone call one day. We seem to think you have cancer. What? I couldn't believe it. It's always the other person, the person on television, the person in the newspaper. Not me, but it was me. It was my time to stand up and deal with this life-threatening situation. And I didn't want to do anything because I really wasn't sure how to handle it. I waited for 3 years, and after 3 years, I went back to the doctor, got that second opinion, that follow-up, sent me over to Johns Hopkins. The cancer had spread throughout my body, my hip, my back, my bicep, all over the place. So what did I do? I got my questions answered, got chemo for 6 months, and the cancer was gone. Boy, what a relief. So I thought. 8 years later, I got another phone call saying, the cancer's come back, but it's come back more aggressively. You know, just like that, I did not know which way to turn. I did not know where my help was coming from, but I had to ground myself, I had to be still and recognize you've got faith, you've dealt with this before, and you can do it again. So what did I do? I had cancer coming back aggressively. There was jaundice also, which means my eyes was yellow, my kidneys were shutting down, and I just couldn't believe that this was another fight that I would have to win. I would have to take it on straight up. There's no way out of it. I did exactly what the doctors told me. Cancer was eradicated again. So I thank God that I have the opportunity to stand here to share with you and to share with everyone that I meet. Each and every day, I'm grateful. See, if you're like a lot of people, you did what everyone told you. You did go to school. You did get good grades. And you probably got that good job. But the truth of the matter is, most people that have a degree, they don't work in the area that their degree is in. And what happens? They usually go back to school to further their education just to remain competitive, or they go back to school to get another degree just so they can make more money. But isn't this the odd thing? You're going to go back to school to further your degree, but it's something that you're not even interested in. Because your first degree, you didn't follow through and work in that area. That wasn't your area of expertise that you were able to fulfill. So you have to ask yourself, how do I radiate my brain and change the game? Because that's the name of the game. You have to realize, in order to get what you want, you have to do something different. Sometimes you have to learn to be uncomfortable until you can become comfortable in the area that you really want. You see, everyone has a skill, a talent, a gift, or an ability. But most of us don't look for it. Are you looking for yours? Have you looked for yours? You see, many people don't know where is the starting point. How do I really fulfill my dreams? How do I, get to that place I know I've always wanted to be? You see, when you're in your sweet spot, I call it your sweet spot because when you're in that place that was destined for you, nothing can touch you. Stress goes down. Happiness is unmeasurable. Why? Because you're where you're destined to be. You can make a lot of money, but you know what? It won't be about the money. Why? Because you're where you're destined to be. You may not even make a lot of money, but you're happy because you're in that sweet spot. Why do I say it doesn't matter if you make a lot of money? Because you're where you were destined to be. You see, a lot of people don't know why they're unhappy. They're trying to fill a void, trying to put their finger on it, but they don't know how. They don't know exactly what's missing. And see, when you are where you're destined to be, that is the best place, the best thing that can ever happen to your life. And I'll tell you, there are 3 things that I really want to share with you. And if you got a pen and paper, get your pen and paper out. I'll give you a second to get your pen and paper out. Because these 3 things may be so instrumental to you. They're so simple, but you may not have considered them. People. Who are the people in your life that are instrumental to you? You see, because there's 2 sides to every coin. For any situation, there's the good and there's the bad. Most of us, or I'll say this, many of us, we have negative people around us. These people will squeeze the life out of you. They absolutely will. But some people don't realize that that is what they're doing. But you have to learn how to identify. So you have to, 1, identify the negative people, because you can't take them with you and you can't have them around you. Now, this is the sad part. Some of those people are close people in your life. Family members, friends, cousins. So you have to identify who are the negative people. The positive side, you want to be around people that will encourage you, people that will lift you up, people that will listen to you, people that support what you're doing and what you stand for. Number 2, you want to think about the things that you do. What type of things do you do? Do you play video games? Do you just go on Facebook? Do you go to bars? Are you going to eat? Well, there's nothing wrong with going to eat, but it doesn't really feed your mission. Or on the flip side, do you go to conferences? Do you go to libraries? Do you go to places where your mental stimulation can take place, where you can learn about your craft, about your desires, about your interests? And number 3, what types of things do you actually do? You see, some people, they just hang out. They don't do much of anything. They watch television. Like I said before, they may go to restaurants and things like that. But how about reading? Reading about something that's going to help you get where you want to be or become who you would like to become. What about conferences? Conferences that sharpen your axe so that you're a little bit better in your area of expertise, or you can learn how to develop an area of expertise. You see, those 3 things, people, places, and things, are going to be so instrumental in your life. And sometimes it's so obvious, it's easy to overlook. Who would you rather learn from? Someone that has read about it, studied about it, or someone that has actually been through it? You see, I've gone through a lot in my life, and I've learned a lot in my life. And when I got to the point, the place that I'm at now, I realized it was time for me to do what was meant for my life. And I thought it was about performing music and poetry and all those things, and there's nothing wrong with those things. But I'd rather share a message with you that can carry you a lifetime than to entertain you that will only hold you overnight. You see, there lies the difference. Now, when I got through all my cancer issues and things like that, I remember I went to a conference and I ran into Dr. Jolly. And he said, "Charles, what's going on with you?" I told him what happened. Told him about the cancer each time. And he shared with me, he says, "Look, you've been singing, you've been doing poetry, you've been doing all this stuff. You need to tell your story." And that's exactly what I did. I told my story. In fact, I wrote my book titled Courage Facing Mortality. Cancer wasn't my only obstacle. And it became an Amazon bestseller last fall. Now, again, who would you rather learn how to work through obstacles, how to design or identify where it is you'd rather be? Would you rather learn that from someone who has book knowledge or someone who has actual practical experience? You know, getting over drugs, getting over cancer twice, you would think I might know a thing or two about challenges, about achievements, about the mindset. You see, because the right mindset, that's all you ever really need. See, many people, they give up before the fight has even begun. You know, I used to give an example of when someone goes to try out for a sports team, for example. You know, a kid goes to try out for a team, and the coach says, my roster's full, I don't need anybody else. And I ask them, well, when you go to try out for the team and the coach says the roster is full, what do? Some people say, hey, I go try out for another team. Some people say, well, I'll wait for next year. Okay, what happens next year if the coach says the exact same thing? The answers, they get slimmer and slimmer. So I asked them, what's wrong with being a coach's assistant? What's wrong with trying to be an assistant coach? What's wrong with trying to be a sports therapist? What's wrong with trying to be a sports journalist? What's wrong with trying to be a mascot? That's 5 other options that can keep you in the game until your opportunity comes. You see, everybody wants to be in the starting 5, but you got to learn how to play team ball. You got to learn the nuances. And if you take advantage of any of those 5 options, any of them, see, you're going to be on the outside of the court, but you also have a bigger view of the big picture. And you have to find out what it is that you're destined to do. Do you have a clue? Well, I venture to say I have a workshop called The Cure. Now, the cure for you fill in the blank. And I know if I told you I've got the cure, there's 2 things you're going to say. One person would say, bet, show me. How do I do it? Where do I sign up? The other person will say, well, how could you possibly tell me that you got the cure for what I need and you don't even know me? Well, if you feel you're perfectly, you're where you're at and where you're supposed to be, maybe this message is not for you. But for those who want more, who want to be more, who want to do more, this message is for you. And I tell you, we all have a gift. Now, I don't know if you really understand what that really means, but allow me to elaborate a little bit more. If I were to give you a box this size, or this size, or even the size of a car or a house, if I gave you that gift, had it wrapped in the finest paper, the finest ribbons and bows, and I literally put it in your possession, so wherever you lived, wherever you moved, it was always there with you, it would do you no good unless you unwrapped it. You see, the gift is inside of you. We all have it. Each and every person on this planet. I believe it was Dr. Miles Monroe that said that there are 1 million stories untold in the graveyard. Well, I'm sure there's 1 million inventions, 1 million patents, 1 million creations, 1 million stories, and 1 million other things. Who's going to tell your story? You know, I tell people, tell your story, live your story, be your story. You've got to be your story. There are people watching you, family members, community members. And no, you don't necessarily have a responsibility, but then again, yes, you do. Because we all see the news. We see what's going on in the world. Things are not necessarily getting better, but you want to be the best you. And you can't be the best you if what you do is just exist. You've got to learn to live. See, that's what I decided to do. I decided to live. You see, most people, when they're faced, if they have been in the world of substance abuse, you don't need very much to turn you around and make you retreat back into that world. Most people. Because the mind is not right, the mind is not sound, and you're looking for any excuse just to give up, to quit. You can't quit. You can't quit on you. CEOs don't quit. You're the CEO of YOU. You cannot quit. So my point is, people are watching you, and you do have a responsibility. Are you your brother's keeper? To a large degree, you are, even if you don't want to be, because there's greatness inside of you. You see, I've learned from many of the best. Dr. Maxwell, Jim Rohn, Brian Tracy, and my good friend, Dr. Willie Jolly, even Les Brown, and Delatoro McNeil, which you heard earlier. And well, let me put it like this. My advice, my suggestion to you, if you can't meet the person that you would like to be like, or that you would like to meet and work with, follow them online. Go to their website and watch what they do. Watch how they do things. And at least you get some of the groundwork on what it takes to become what you need to become. Or you'll get some of the information to learn how you can become what you would like to become. Now, I've got a couple of things I'd like to offer you. Can I get my books over there? Just give me half a second. I want to share a couple of things with you. I told you about my book that became an Amazon bestseller, Courage Facing Mortality. Cancer Wasn't My Only Obstacle. This is a three-piece set. It's a book, it's a DVD, and it's a CD. This is the CD that's in the top 15 on the independent jazz charts. My audio program, Radiate the Brain and Change the Game. The book should be coming out in the next 30 to 60 days. I highly recommend that you contact me. You go to my site or you give me a call so that you can get this book, this information. There are 15 chapters filled with exercises, examples of how you can get from where you are to where you want to be. You see, as an alternative recourse expert, it's my responsibility. I don't have much choice, but I don't mind because I accept it wholeheartedly. It's my responsibility to help dig in you and bring it out so that you can identify who you really are. Sometimes it can be hard to do that. You see, we got so many distractions in this world. PDAs and Xbox and PlayStation and Facebook and all this stuff. So sometimes it may be hard to find that quiet space, that quiet spot for you so you can just have peace of mind. Give me the opportunity to work with you to show you what's already there. And again, these products, Radiate the Brain and Change the Game. It's a book and it's an audio program. Contact me about getting this information in your hands, and I'm going to give you a nice discount on this. Probably knock about $10 off of that. The three-piece set, Courage Facing Mortality, Cancer Wasn't My Only Obstacle, which comes with a DVD and a CD. You know, if you can relate to someone that's had cancer, if you can relate to someone that's been on drugs, then that book will serve you fine. And if you want, you can even gift it. But my point is, it's time for you to step up to the plate. You have to radiate the brain so that you can change the game in your life. The only way for you to be the best you that you were designed to be, you have to make that transition, that transformation, the right mindset. That is all you will ever need. Let me help you work with that. Now, I want you to contact me at www.sircharlescary.net. You may see it on the screen pop up here and there, but go to the website and you'll see everything that I've been sharing with you. And you can also learn a little bit more about who I am and what I've done. And as a free gift, I'm going to give you this information. Text the word PURPOSE, P-U-R-P-O-S-E. Text that word to 339-224-5437. I'll say it again. Text the word PURPOSE to 339-224-5437. And what's going to happen when you do that, we're going to send you the Cure Pack, the Cure Information Pack. Give you an excerpt on the upcoming book. It's going to give you some examples on how to start rethinking about what it is that you do for your profession, and maybe you'll find what direction you really like to move into, what direction you would really like to make your area of expertise. And also there's going to be, it's a bunch of information. It's all free. Just go ahead and text the word PURPOSE to that number, and you'll get that information emailed to you. But it's been a pleasure speaking with you, a pleasure sharing the platform with Dr. Jolly, Trevor, Shay, Stacy, I mean, the whole team, you guys are in for a serious treat. So I'm hoping that you enjoy the program and allow me the opportunity of working with you. You won't be sorry you did. People are my business. I take this very seriously. Contact me and let me be an influence in your life.